The moment news broke that Luka Modric would be leaving Real Madrid after 14 unforgettable years, AC Milan wasted no time. They moved quickly and decisively, initiating serious talks, and now they've secured a verbal agreement from the Croatian maestro. AC Milan, a club that once put their faith in Zlatan Ibrahimovic at 38, is ready to do the same with Modric, who just finished a season with over 40 appearances. It's not just about experience, it's about identity. Milan needs a figure who can preserve the club's spirit in the dressing room and inspire young, lost-in-transition midfielders like Musa and Fofana. At 39, Modric may no longer twist and turn entire midfields inside out like he used to, but he remains the kind of player every system quietly needs. Simple, steady, visionary. He's still a man of moments. 591 matches, 26 trophies, a golden era. Milan sees this not just as a football transfer, but as a historical acquisition. While Modric was still focused on the Club World Cup with Madrid, Milan waited in the wings. Quiet, patient, confident. And now the 2018 Ballon d'Or winner is set to wear the iconic red and black stripes. Serie A might just witness one of the most emotionally charged signings of the modern era. Italy has long been a sanctuary for legs that are tired, but hearts still burn with passion. Here, football is not just about pace or power, it's a stage for seasoned artists to deliver one last masterclass. We've seen Luca Toni bag 22 goals for Hellas Verona well into his 30s. Francesco Totti dictating Roma's rhythm as he approached 40. Serie A is where intelligence and vision often outshine speed and stamina. And now Luka Modric looks ready to follow that same path, only this time on an entirely different level. Milan, once dreamers with a youthful core, are now scrambling to rebuild. They've just sold Tijani Reijnders to Manchester City for €70 million, one of their few consistent midfielders. As for Theo Hernandez and Rafael Leão, their departure feels more likely than not. Milan is caught in the eye of a strategic storm. On one hand, clinging to a high-pressing, fast-paced identity reminiscent of peak Pioli days. On the other, desperately seeking stability and a spiritual anchor in the locker room, something they lost when Ibrahimovic retired and Paolo Maldini stepped down. In that light, signing Luka Modric, a 39-year-old midfielder, may sound counterintuitive, but it might just be the most logical move Milan could make. Because Modric isn't just a footballer, he's a philosophy. 14 years at Madrid, 6 Champions League titles, a Ballon d'Or, countless unforgettable moments. Milan isn't bringing him in just to play. They're bringing him in to rebuild something greater: identity, leadership, legacy. This becomes even more intriguing considering Milan has just announced the return of Massimiliano Allegri as head coach. All signs point to a spiritual rebuild, a reset of culture, with Modric as the central axis. He won't play every game. He might not have 90 minutes in his legs anymore. But his presence, on the training ground, in the dressing room, on the bench, or coming in for the final 15 minutes to control tempo, will be transformative. Modric isn't coming to Milan to save them. He's coming to guide a new generation through the aftermath. Like Andrea Pirlo mentoring Paul Pogba at Juventus. Like Clarence Seedorf inspiring a young Milan squad years ago. Modric could be the lighthouse in the storm. And who knows, in a Serie A that still worships artistry, Luka Modric might just rediscover his youth, in the very way Italy has always done for its legends who still know how to listen to the ball. Say what you want about age, about the twilight of his career. But one thing is undeniable. Modric's journey started at Real Madrid, the absolute peak of world football. That Madrid essence, the mentality, the class, is something AC Milan, despite all their glorious history, cannot match in the present. Right now, Milan is a shadow of what they once were. Real Madrid? They've just lifted their 15th Champions League trophy. That's why Luka Modric's move to Serie A, where the tempo is slower and there's no European football pressure, feels like the perfect soft landing. Of course, Serie A isn't a retirement league. Anyone who watches Italian football knows that while the game may be slower, the intensity hasn't gone anywhere. Defenders like Gianluca Mancini, Bremer, or Ramani won't hesitate to go in hard if they see a veteran taking too many touches. But for someone who's danced through countless Clásicos, Madrid derbies, and cold rainy nights at Anfield, Modric is no stranger to pressure or physical duels. At this stage of his career, he doesn't need to outrun anyone. One touch, one feint of the ankle, one line-breaking pass, that's all it takes for him to change the game. The slower pace of Serie A compared to La Liga or the Premier League is fertile ground for someone like Modric. No longer under relentless pressing, no longer required to run 12 kilometers a game, he'll have those extra seconds to lift his head, scan the pitch, and inspire. And there's one more major upside. AC Milan won't be playing in Europe next season. That means a much lighter schedule, one game per week, ideal for a midfielder who's played over 900 professional matches. After years of playing every 3 days at Real Madrid, under a suffocating schedule filled with travel, constant media pressure, and non-stop expectations, this Milan chapter feels like a breath of fresh air. Modric isn't coming to Milan to conquer the world. He's here to close out his career with grace, but also with impact. And when the game slows down, it's not youth or pace that makes the difference. It's intelligence. That's where Modric becomes deadly. For decades, AC Milan has carried the weight of its glorious past, a club with some of the richest traditions in European football. But traditions don't win matches, and legacy alone doesn't create leaders. In recent years, Milan has lacked a true on-field presence, someone who stands tall in the center of the pitch and commands respect with nothing more than a glance. Not necessarily a captain, but a living icon, a player whose very existence lifts those around him. Since Ibrahimovic retired, that void has only grown. Giroud was admirable. Maignan is a leader in his own right, but neither quite reaches the level of the grand old tree. The way Real Madrid has Modric and Kroos, or how Barcelona once had Xavi and Busquets. That's what Milan is missing. And make no mistake, Milan's squad isn't weak, at least not by Serie A standards. They've got Loftus-Cheek, once pursued by PSG and Man City. They've got Rafael Leão, one of the best wingers in the world, Christian Pulisic, among the league's most creative minds, Mike Maignan, France's #1 goalkeeper, and now Javi Guerra, a talented youngster brought in from Valencia. The issue isn't quality, it's mentality. Watching them last season, it was hard not to notice a heavy fatigue, a lack of spark. They weren't playing to win, they were playing to survive. And when your dressing room lacks that one person who can slam a hand on the table and shout, "We can't keep playing like this," everything starts to slide. In that context, Modric isn't just a transfer, he's a remedy. He doesn't need to speak loudly. His resume speaks louder than any motivational speech. 6 Champions Leagues, a Ballon d'Or, a World Cup runner-up medal, over 900 games for club and country. He knows how to manage rhythm, when to slow the game, when to accelerate. More importantly, he's lived through the peak moments of modern football. So when he says, "We need to change our mindset," those words carry more weight than any coach's tactics board. Milan's golden eras weren't built solely on superstars, but on a core of seasoned warriors, Maldini, Nesta, Pirlo, Seedorf. They passed down the Milan DNA. But now this team feels like a body missing its bloodstream. Modric could be the first drop of blood in a process of renewal. He doesn't need to play every match. He doesn't need to be the star every week. All he needs to do is show up in the right moments, to remind Milan that tradition isn't just something you display in a trophy room. It's something you carry forward. Modric may not come to Milan to play superhero, but can he be the spark of a rebirth? For a young squad still finding its voice, and for top talents still hesitating on whether to join, having a living legend in the locker room could be the difference. A Ballon d'Or winner, a European conqueror. That kind of name forces everyone to raise their game, just like Ibrahimovic once did, bringing belief, discipline, and a wave of top-tier players in his wake. Maybe Modric can do the same, because sometimes the first step in rebuilding a giant is simply having one in your dressing room.